Hi, I'm Greg Hunter. This is the weekly news wrap-up, the WNW 194 for Friday, June 12th, 2015. And boy, the Republicans are gung-ho for trade deals in Asia and in Europe, except there's a caveat. The details are secret. It's against the law for the public to know these secret deals until after Congress votes on it. Now, they've already pulled this in the Senate. Thank you, Mitch McConnell. You know, Mr. Truth, Justice, and the American Way of the Republican Party. You passed a secret trade deal, and then we sent it on to the House. Well, now the Republican leadership is getting pushback from people in the House of Representatives. Duncan Hunter, Republican from California, wrote leadership at the House of Representatives, the Republican leadership, saying, you know, we shouldn't vote on this until the public knows what it is. And, Paul Ryan, who's spearheading this, Congressman Paul Ryan, spearheading this for the Republicans, says that it's declassified and made public once it's agreed on. He blurted that out. Excuse me? Declassified? You're voting on a secret deal? How can this be any good? I've already told you Elizabeth Warren, senator out here in Massachusetts, said that, it was so good, such a great deal. You're so proud of it. Let's see what's in it. Oh, no. Same thing on the Republican side. There's many Republicans saying, why don't we put this out there? Why don't we tell the public what we're voting on? Let me tell you why. Because it stinks and it's bad for the American people and it's good for, their donors. That's what I think. Where are the liberals? Where are the conservatives? Where are they? I mean, is this the Republican version of what Nancy Pelosi said? We have to vote for it to see what's in it. I guess it is. Every congressional office, because the vote right now is in the House of Representatives, every congressional office, Republican or Democrat, ought to be lit up. The phone line should be lit up with people saying, don't you dare vote on a trade deal that nobody knows anything about, the general public knows nothing about. You're going to vote for it, then surprise, here are the details. And what do you bet? They're not very flattering to the Republicans or the Democrats that vote for it. But they're trying to hurry up and push it through. And this is why I say with the Democrats and Republicans, hey, listen, they just take turns ripping us off. Now, we'll vote for it. We have to vote for it to see what's in it. Why don't Paul Ryan just come up and say that? Just do his little Nancy Pelosi imitation and pull that out. Worked for her, got Obamacare passed. Of course, that may not be going very well. I'll cover that just in a minute, but they're just taking turns ripping us off. I think any deal done in secret is got to be a bad deal for normal, everyday Americans. How can it be good if they're so proud of, we're going to get trade. We need trade. If you're so proud of it, let's see the deal before you vote on it. Looks like President Obama is going to send another 450 troops to Iraq, and I say this is a drop in the bucket. What did Martin Dempsey say late last year? You need 80,000 competent Iraqi troops to really take on ISIS and knock them out. 80,000. And they're sending another 450 trainers. They're not going to get 80,000. They're not serious. They're not serious. They don't fly enough bombing missions, a few a day. When in the past, when we really wanted to knock somebody out, we'd fly hundreds in a day. And the other thing, and I brought this up, and I want to bring it up again, there's all these capture oil fields pumping out oil in eastern Syria and western Iraq. They've got control of multiple wells that they take the oil and sell it on the black market. Why don't we fly a drone over there and drop a few bombs and stop that? Why don't we bomb those? They're not serious. They're just not serious. The G7, speaking of not serious, the G7, which has become a joke. The G7 met and they scolded Russia, and it looks like they're going to keep the sanctions in. Obama was pushing more sanctions and to hold those sanctions on Russia. And you're not going to knock Russia out with these sanctions. They're just going to go do the BRICS and do deals with China. And now they're actually selling their oil to China in yuan. So it's the birth of the yuan-backed the Iran petrodollar, or the Iran currency, the Iran oil dollar, has happened because they're selling their oil to the Chinese in the Chinese currency, the yuan, and it's not going very well. Ukraine is a stalemate at best. It's not over. It's going nowhere. They're not going to scold Putin into giving up any ground. They also scolded the Chinese about building, those islands in the middle of the South China Sea. China says that it's their territory. They're not breaking international law. They're not in international waters. Those are their waters. But the G7 looks like their bark's a lot worse than their bite. I mean, it's woof, 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 and they'll gnaw them to death, but they're not going to do anything. Nobody takes them seriously. Here's another headline, and every week, every other week, I don't know, I'm constantly fighting this battle with the mainstream media, is so, is not. We have a recovery. No, we don't. Here's the latest headline in the money section, USA Today. Job openings jump to record high. Now, I looked at this, I thought, wow, let's read this story. Wow, record number of job openings. And I called John Williams, economist at shadowstats.com. He founded it, runs it, smart guy. Does real calculations with real numbers, not phony ones, and he says, listen, the first thing out of his mouth was that's nonsense. Record high job openings. He says, number one, they count the jobs, the openings, multiple times. Number one. Number two, the lion's share, the largest portion of the jobs, according to Williams, and I think BLS numbers back this, are part-time jobs. Thank you, Obamacare, for the 29-hour-a-week part-time work week and to make people dependent on government. They're part-time jobs. And he also added that, we're still 800,000 jobs below where we were just before the crisis, the financial crisis hit in 2008, 800,000 jobs. So nonsense. It really is just nonsense. And whenever they bring up these job numbers, they don't say, 80% or 90% are part-time with no benefits. It's nonsense. Next up, Obamacare, which I just brought that up, about it wrecking the economy. Carl Denninger said it would wreck the economy. 2015 wouldn't survive. I'm going to try to get him on again in the next few weeks. He doesn't know that yet. So, Carl, if you're watching this, I'm not being presumptive, but you're a smart guy, and we want you to talk again, have you on again. But the next few weeks, I have embarrassment of bookings at the moment. But here we go. And they're already planning. I mean, this is the Obama administration. Congress needs a plan for health care funding. I mean, the head of, Division of Families, DHS, is people that run Obamacare are, you need to have a plan B in case these people, all these millions of people, lose their benefits that they should have never gotten in the first place. And there's a Supreme Court ruling that's going to be coming down later this month, and what the case pivots on is the fact that states had to set up a exchange in order for people to get health care subsidies. 34 states didn't set up an exchange. And the case says, hey, listen, the law is written where if you don't set up a state, if a state doesn't set up an exchange, you are not eligible for benefits. You're not eligible for subsidies. And it looks like the Obama administration is almost counting on, I think even the president had some negative words about the Supreme Court, chiding them over their, if they do this ruling, they could just change this, these 4 words. But no. I mean, this could kibosh the entire Obamacare. They'll certainly try to work a deal where they curtail Obamacare. Obama administration, at least people there say, the president will veto anything that derails Obamacare. Well, the Supreme Court ruling is likely going to derail Obamacare. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe John Roberts will say it's totally constitutional. Yet again, I don't know. But I think even the White House, when they start sending people to Congress to say, hey, what's your plan B in case the health care ruling, the Supreme Court rules against us. That to me, I think the Obama administration already knows what the ruling is, and they're getting ready to get some not so good news. And I think they shouldn't even worry. The Republicans shouldn't even worry about why should subsidies? Where do they get those? From taxpayers. Why should I have to give somebody a subsidy? I work my tail off. And other people worked their tail off. 85% of people were happy with their health care when this started. Remember that? 85%. They were happy. And it is killing the economy. And we haven't even fully had the employer mandate kick in. I'm sure the Republicans are going to try to work a deal. And they may get a lot of Democratic support. Because if Obama, because he doesn't have Harry Reid in the Senate anymore, if he starts, Mr. Veto Pen, and he starts vetoing ideas where the Republicans say, okay, we'll give you your subsidies for the next 2 years, the next year or whatever, but you got to back off on the employer mandate. And if he starts vetoing that, that's going to be a hard story to paint, hard story to sell. Oh yeah, I vetoed subsidies for millions of people because, well, I didn't want the rest of my Obamacare plan to, go under. I basically took away with my veto pen the insurance for millions of people, which I don't think they did this wrong in the beginning. And people say, well, what's your plan? I'm a reporter, but I will tell you, I wouldn't have given vision, dental, birth control pills, abortions, sex change operations, free all kinds of different tests out. Hey, listen, if you get cancer or get into a car wreck, here's how much it'll be. You have a couple $1,000 deductible. It'll be $70 a month or $80 a month or whatever. Here's your insurance, which would be better than nothing. But instead, they went crazy. They got people that have 55 and 60 years old. They got to pay for prenatal care and for possibility of getting pregnant, which is about a 1,000,000 to 1 shot for somebody in their 50s or 60s. But they have to pay for that. Greece, another mess. I just want to touch on it. I mean, it's not going well. The Germans don't want to give them another dime. I'm sure the French may want to give them some money, and some of the other European countries, and cooler heads may prevail because they do have a 7.2 billion euro tranche of emergency debt sitting there to bail out the Greeks, basically loan them some more money to pay their bills and stack up more debt on top of the outrageous debt they already have. But I think they're going to make some kind of a deal. They're going to promise to be good, the Greeks, or, somebody will bend and they'll give them their money. The Greeks want to stretch this out until next year. They want to have a deal where they get to, March or April of next year, and that's not going to happen. I mean, not when the Germans are not another penny, not another shilling, not another dime, nothing. But I think they're going to arrange some kind of deal, and they're going to end up getting their $7.2 billion, and that'll take them to the fall, where we're going to have the perfect storm. And speaking of the perfect storm, I want to just bring up this. Had Gregory Mannarino on this week, and yes, I know the stock market had a couple 100-point up day when he was saying it set a stop, but he said this thing wasn't going to go straight down. And but I want to show you a chart of the S&P 500 on a long from 1993. And Mannarino sent me this, and if this isn't a run Forrest run chart, I don't know what is. Down here is 1993, and this is like the S&P 500 to 500. And so here is, if you take a look at this right here, the very first bump up, that is 2001, and then you had this down. And Mannarino says, now take a look at this, really good. So here you have the very first thing right here, okay, and then you see it go down, and then you have the next thing right here, and then if you look really close, it goes down even farther. He says, and that's really the hallmark of this chart and other charts like it. The higher the high, the lower the low. So it goes up fairly high in the first one right here. Then it comes down, and then it goes up a little higher in the second one right here. Then it comes way down. And the reason why I'm telling you this, look at over here. So here we are over here. How far down is this going to go? This is where we are right now. Now, what it's doing up here, bouncing up and down 102 points, doesn't really make much difference in terms of, that's not the S&P, that's 20 or 30 points up and down is not a lot of up and down up here. But if this isn't a run Forrest run moment, I mean, you don't even have to know anything. If I just said to just a common person, what does this chart tell you when we're right here? What does that say? What do you think's going to happen next? Is this chart going to go up or is it going to go down? And the answer is it's going to go down, and it's going to go down lower. The higher the high, the lower the low. This thing is going to take a nosedive and go below the low of the S&P 500 of 2008 down into 2009. It's going to go lower. And I don't see how in the world, with a rising 10-year Treasury yield, and as Gregory Mannarino pointed out, a declining Dow Transport Index going down, I don't see how in the world that the next move is going to be up. I mean, I got to tell you, I was talking to my one of my neighbors, and he says, oh, well, I showed him this chart because he said, hey, if you get any news, let me know. So I showed him this chart, and I don't blame him. I mean, the mainstream media is, every time you read a newspaper or look at one of the mainstream media news networks, and everywhere you turn, oh, it's getting better, winter recovery. We're in a recovery. It's a recovery. Hey, what about the recovery? Oh, record jobs. Job openings are happening. And I've told you time after time and showed you chart after chart and given you fact after. No, we're not in a recovery. There is no recovery for Main Street at any rate. Recovery for Wall Street, not for Main Street. And I don't blame people like my neighbors who think, wow, he said the economy's getting better. And then he said about this chart, well, all that money, if the bond price is rising, well, it'll go into the stock market. It'll keep going up, well, to infinity. He didn't actually say infinity, but that was his inference. It would just keep going up, and that this thing won't fall out of bed till long after I'm dead. I think he's like 70. Anyway, I don't blame the public because the MSM is misinforming them. And they're doing it on purpose to, just like the government statistics, to make the government statistics make the economy look better than what it is. The mainstream media makes it look better than what it is, over and over and over again. It's like propaganda. It is propaganda. Because the facts say it's not getting better and that you should take cover. But this is one of my viewers that wrote me this. His name is David. He's out in Seattle. I'll put my glasses on and read it to you. And I'll pick it up in midstream. And he wrote me this letter explaining how he felt. And he said, the great population, says his family doesn't believe anything's wrong. His friends don't believe anything wrong. My family don't believe anything wrong. I said, well, I have, Nobel Prize winning authors and people that manage billions of dollars. And that's like, no, that's not what they're hearing in the mainstream press. But he wrote me this, and just take this in. The general population is like a herd of grazing buffaloes, mindlessly huddled together. Intent on one purpose, they notice not what is going on around them. Individuals in the herd are felled, but the rest of the herd doesn't care. Then suddenly, they all spook at the same time and finally realize they need to distance themselves from the danger. Group rationalization may take a long time to materialize, but when it comes quick. And it's encompassing. That's what's going to happen, folks. And they've been told everything's good, we've had a recovery, things are getting better, everything's good. And then one day they're going to find out, oops, it's not. And people are going to realize, oh, we're screwed. Huh? That was excellent by Dave in Seattle that wrote me that. Excellent visualization. I think he's spot on. That's exactly what's going to happen. Nobody believes it until they do. And when they do, everybody believes at the same time. And that's when there is big trouble. One last look at the run, Forrest, run chart. We're up here. We're way higher, order of magnitude higher than where we were in 01 and 08. I mean, this is a run, Forrest, run chart. If I ever saw one. I'm Greg Hunter. That's the way I see it. Thank you for supporting the site with all your comments. Got smart people on this site. You can learn stuff by not even reading what I write or listening to the guest, although you should listen to the guest. You can learn stuff from the people who comment. Really, no kidding. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your donations. That helps us out. That's the way I see it. I'm Greg Hunter. Fear not. Prepare yourself physically, mentally, and above all, spiritually. Fear not.